propels the sex drive.
So
that's a natural thing.
It stimulates the libido.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very aggressively.
Very aggressive.
In the men.
In the men.
More than the women.
Yes, it is.
That's what people are saying.
Generally speaking. I mean, no, that is where I think
Welcome to the New Foundation Christian Ministries B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast. I'm your host, Donald McFarlane. It's great having you with us once again. My co-host here is
Natalie Irving Mattox. I want to thank our very supportive viewers. Remember to follow us on Instagram at B1 Marriage Ministry, like us on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Thank you.
Very well. So here we are once again, naturally, and we are very happy to have on set with us a resource person and the very eminent Eloise Cato, who prides herself in matters of counseling and psychology. And we thought it was appropriate, given what we are considering, to invite you, Cato, to come on set and to share with us here. Perhaps you may want to have some opening sentences of your own, but let me just tell my viewers firstly that this week's episode is focused in on the question of monogamous relationship. Is that real? What is this? It's one person with one other and no other being sexually committed to each other. Yes. And whereas we come to the table with our own biblical and theological position, we still want to give place, because this has been a vexing and provocating matter. Yes. So let us hear the other side of the story if there is one. But whilst we prepare for that, let me allow our resource person Kato this time to give some opening comments.
All right, thank you again for having me. Well, you know, in Jamaica we call monogamy the one burner, right? And many people will say to you that you can't use a one burner stove to cook, because they take it right to the end of the, you know, that you can't use a one burner for cook. If you have another burner and another one and another one, right. And you know, really see those no good stove will only have one burner on it, right? A hot plate that, right? And they're not in the hot plate business, yes. You know. Okay, so but just to say that, you know, this is a topic that needs to be spoken about. It affects people in the Christian circles as well as non-Christian circles, and it's a very vexing issue for a lot of people.
Well, let us then delve into this matter. You know, firstly, to establish that our Christian orientation and biblical view, having spoken to you outside of here, I know that you believe in a one man, one woman relationship. Am I right, Natalie?
That's right.
I just want to be sure
That's
that,
right.
yes, I know I'm right because I spoke to you.
Yes.
But then you also concede in discussions offset that it's a fact that this is not a simple 1-2, but persons within marital relationships struggle to be faithful to each other.
That's right.
Are we establishing that as being?
That's right.
But outside of, this is not a self-disclosure of sort. You're saying there is garnered evidence from interacting with persons that you have come to conclude that this is so? Yeah, is it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, it is a struggle. Yeah.
People have spoken about that.
People have spoken
And
about it.
some people struggle more than others.
Exactly.
So here, well, I don't know what they used to measure how one struggle more than the other. Perhaps we will come to understand that. But since, let us start from then the fact that there are two sexes involved in a relationship, the male and the female.
Yes.
Does this struggle exist for one sex more than the other? And certainly, if so, we are going to look at the why, if there's a why. Let's start with you, Natalie.
Well, generally speaking,
Yes.
it appears as if it's a struggle that is heavier on the male side. But I don't want to negate the fact that women do struggle, because cheating in relationship is not a male issue. So generally speaking, the thing is, I have no data right now to speak on this, and I know we have our resource person in Cato here to shed some light on that. But it is a struggle on both sides, I would agree.
Okay. So nobody can just start saying hallelujah, not this side, but
because it's everybody's problem.
right. But I suppose there are going to be issues that inform why some struggle more than others.
Right.
Kato, you're being called into question here to shed some light from your knowledge, experience, interaction. Who it is that seem to struggle more, if any party, in the relationship?
Well, on the surface of it, you would say men struggle more. And that's biological, that's cultural, that's sociocultural, I should say, that's psychological. Men are generally socialized that they are supposed to be the sex machine, the ever ready, right? At the drop of a hat, always want it. And they've also been socialized a lot that one woman, I know enough. You hear men say it all the time, can't eat chicken every day.
Exactly.
One day you have to have pork, and right? So this socialization is very important, that this expectation is there, that the man is supposed to be the raging bull, right?
Yes.
And he is supposed to have as many women as he wants, and he's supposed to just go with the flow, and he will tell you that many women are coming on to him, and he just has to do something about it, right? There have actually been men who have said that to their wives, but me can't help it. I don't want the woman them, so what me must do, right?
Yes.
And they say it's the woman, it's not them. Also, you have sexual addictions.
All right. You mind?
But then our culture,
Yeah.
if you want us to talk a little bit about our own culture that promotes.
Yes. Remember going down that point
Okay.
there. I want you to remember that point there. But so you are saying that the socialization of men, Jamaican men, is a significant contributing factor to not being able to maintain a monogamous relationship
Yes, it
with
is.
this. Right. So does it stand to reason then? Or can one in this Jamaican culture escape this kind of socialization
But then-
that would make it easier on them to be faithful? If it is the culture and the socialization causing this, I'm asking if somebody lives a more sheltered life here in the Jamaican context, would that, you think, help the person from such great struggle?
In terms of the sheltering, right? Because essentially that's your background, where you're coming from. Choice has a lot to do with it, right? Personal choice has a lot to do with it. Because you have the man, for example, who has grown up seeing his father be the village ram, so to speak. And he has made up his mind that I am not going to be that. And you may have the chap who has been sheltered for most of his life, but then he discovers sex. And it's like, you can't get him to stop now because somebody was hiding all this lovely stuff from me. and now I'm there. But what I will say is that there are men who, despite that, are maintaining monogamy, right? They are maintaining it. They have made a choice, and sometimes we see a phenomenon where a man runs up and down with how many women, and then he meets a lady, and then he just stops.
Exactly.
Inexplicable.
All of a sudden, there's
Yes.
a discipline that he didn't
Yes.
have before. Yeah.
So it shows you that there is a capacity to make a decision that I will not do this, right? Because you can escape culture. You can make a different choice. You can do something different. But of course, the peer pressure and all of that comes in because there are people who will tell this man, you have only one woman, you're no man then.
Okay.
Right.
So we have that.
So let's say that there may not be a great demand upon the ordinary man who is just living, is not in belonging to a church, is not, oriented in that way. There's no demand expected on him. Yes.
Right.
I'm not even sure, outside of some persons who are grown up in moral,
Right.
ways, that they want to pursue a commitment and faithfulness to their spouse.
Yes.
But it is a demand of a church, is it not?
It
Yes,
is.
the church.
It is.
The church, yes.
But we are not saying that it does not exist in the church.
Certainly not.
All right. So the church is
There's
nothing
that.
new.
The church is
All right.
certainly not new.
Right. So this, what are we going to say now if we speak about this strong desire? See, I wanted to explore more now because I want to bring back not only the argument, because one is if you are socially cultured, there's another point you're going on to, not remembering that point just now, but addiction. Perhaps we need to explore that and any other, because what I'm saying, if all of these factors driving the men, because already you have established that the men are the ones who have the problem. I want to see now.
Not quite.
No, not quite. And
No, not
this-
quite.
no,
Oh, you're
not
prepared to
quite.
talk about it on
We
the
are, yes.
It happens over on the other side.
Of course
Yes.
it does.
Oh, I see
It's
what
not
you're
just
saying.
the men. We know culturally it's driven more by men as
All right.
status.
So what
Yes.
we are now is a men problem.
Right.
All right. Let us
The men aspect of
Yes.
the problem.
All right. So let us then take another one. We understand the socialization. Let us look at the addiction now. What do you mean when you say there's an addiction that makes it difficult? I want all listeners and viewers to understand. You are saying there's an addiction that makes it difficult for a married man to be faithful in his marriage.
Or any man, but we're talking about marriage.
Right.
The truth is that you can have addiction with so many different things.
Yes.
The addiction can be gambling,
Yeah.
which we have seen a lot of. The addiction can be to porn.
Yes.
So addiction, this is just another area in which there can be an addiction. And we're not talking here about an excuse for people who want to just
Right.
do what they want sexually.
Right, right.
We're talking about a compulsion and an obsession that they have to get sex. It doesn't matter with whom,
Yes.
where, when, or how, but they have to get it.
Are you saying that that's an abnormality? Is that what you want to say to us?
Yes, because if there's an obsession and a compulsion about it,
Okay.
then it is abnormal.
All right, fine. But I want so let's say if the person is sick, the person is sick.
Yes.
You can't blame the person for manifesting
The sickness.
symptoms of the sickness.
Sickness, right.
But I want to know, outside of this extreme case of addiction, is there in between of a kind of stronger persuasion, but it's not addiction? Am I making sense?
Yes, because there are the biological factors, I think, that
Of,
would
of,
drive
of,
that.
of, the, of the men.
Of the men that
Let me
drive
hear a little
the
more.
testosterone that
Oh,
drives
it-
The hormones.
the
yes.
hormones. Yes,
Yeah.
that drives the
It
that propels the sex drive.
it
So that's a natural thing.
it stimulates the libido
Yes.
Yeah.
very aggressively
Very aggressive.
in the men,
In the men.
more than the
Yes.
women.
Yes, it is.
That's what people are saying.
Generally speaking. I mean, no, that is where I think there are some studies that would have already showed
Yes.
that shown that,
Yes.
That associate high levels of testosterone.
testosterone, yes.
All right. So then, for all of us to be on the same page, you are bringing to this table
Yes.
that there are biological factors that drives the man more for sex, more than the woman.
More than the woman. That's right.
Hence, the possibility of him going outside of the relationship is higher than the woman.
Than the woman. That is it.
Well, there's a flip side to it, which I hope we'll get to, later down. So then, what of the man who says that? You have said it. So what are you blaming me for when you are saying that by my very existence of how my makeup, this is something I'm prone to? What then are you blaming me for?
Well, what I will say, which I'm not sure I've mentioned earlier, is that there are men who are successfully maintaining monogamy.
Right.
And some of them maintain it for life.
Yes.
I mean, there are men I know who will say proudly in any forum, I am a one burner.
Yes.
I'm talking about Jamaican men.
Yes.
And these aren't men who you wouldn't call men. These are men that other men would say, that is a real man.
Real man, yes.
Okay.
But they would might perhaps be shocked
Yes.
to hear that they are being faithful,
Yes.
right? They would be shocked because it's, how you put the phrase, a man's man, right? In that anybody would say, this is a man. But there are men who are doing it because they have made the choice.
Yes, and they maintain that level of discipline and commitment to their Father as well, to the Lord Jesus. Some people have actually committed themselves to their Creator. It's not necessarily about their spouse. It's about their relationship with God.
Okay.
You know?
So there's that dimension.
There's that dimension
of the spirit part of
Yes.
it that helps men to stay intact.
Yes.
It's not that you're now not driven,
Exactly.
but you have put this appetite under control.
Under subjection. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's not a sexy view. Monogamy is not sexy.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Not
What
in
does
our
that mean?
culture where you're supposed to have women in abundance and in abundance.
Yes,
You know,
it's dismissed by a lot of people. But on the other hand, a lot of people in their relationships expect it. So there's a sort of weirdness there that some people want to dismiss it and say that can be done. But yet in their relationships, people insist on it and their relationship is destroyed if they find that is contravened.
Yes, if you're unfaithful, yes.
Gotcha.
High rate of divorce is due to unfaithfulness.
Gotcha.
Infidelity is high on the
Yes.
roll, yes,
Yes.
for divorce. It's
All
higher
right.
for the reasons.
Yes, very high. All right, but let me ask then. It may be said a little quiet in the discussion, but I want to make it bigger and for us to weigh in on it. Does one's sexual history correlate in any way with being with infidelity? In other words, you get my point? Somebody who has been very exposed, involved in all the sexual acts and now coming into a stable relationship, a marriage, you think that sexual history catches up on them where it becomes even more difficult to stick with his partner in this case, because men are on trial now. Yeah.
Comparisons can be made
Comparisons.
as to and you hear some women, they will come and they will say it, that their partner says they must do this and they must do that, and the woman before used to do it, and why you not doing it. So people come with expectations and they measure you up against the previous partners, right? Whether it's the size of your organ or how good you are at using it.
Yes.
But expectations come along with it, right? So if you had a partner before as a woman if you're a woman, you come and your partner before was excellent, right? And he would recover sexually in very short order and be ready again for sex. And you find yourself married to somebody who is like hours and maybe not another 24 hours before he's ready again. She's going to be saying in her mind, but I have gotten used to the how many times a night, you know? And in her mind, she may begin to think, but I can't deal with this, you know? How, you know, and she talks to him and he's like, oh, that's okay. I mean, we don't need to. That's fine.
You know, I want to weigh in on two things. The back end is to ask how we deal with this naturally, right? You know, comment on that. This meaning when this is a reality that there's a past,
Yes.
there are exes.
Yes.
How do you deal with it coming into this stable and permanent relationship?
Right.
But before we get there, I have to highlight unapologetically the high ideal of the Christian life. Yes? Meaning, it's God's expectation that we should walk in purity.
Yes.
Yes? Come with me now.
Yes.
And so whereas we understand the human, you know, realities and the faults and the failures and the so on, but what it shows is that the more we detour from God's ideal,
Yes. That's it.
the greater the problems they multiply.
Right. Yes.
So somebody could very well even say, boy, I'm going after this and I'm enjoying it in the moment. But it has a backlash, don't you see that?
Yes, because
It catches up with you.
It does.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
For you to maintain self-control. Yes.
But a lot of times persons don't see that.
No.
You know, because you are in the here and the now.
Right.
But the less transgression, the better it is for a more peaceful life going forward. But comment on Natalie, starting with you. As I said, you're coming to this context of persons having history.
Yes.
How do you navigate so that it does not become a major problem
Right.
in the
I
relationship?
think, Cato said it, you know, that the comparison is usually, it's real. You know, it often happens. And so when you go into the relationship, it's as if you have to now clean the slate. But I don't know if that is easier said than done. Because once you have a history, you're going to go back to that history book somewhere or the other, you know. And so I think at some point you may want to open that up with your spouse. You know, talk about some of the things. You know, maybe you want to share what, I don't think you necessarily want to bring up what others used to do. So that's number one. You don't want to share what you used to do with the next person. But you may want to focus on what is it that you want. And some of what you want may come from past experience, but that's fine. But you're not going to say, oh, you know, I want to do X, Y, and Z because when I was with X, they used to do that. So you have to first clean that slate. And you have to focus on getting to know the person you are with. And you can't be held back by the past relationships and destroying your life because of that past. Because that is what often happens. So you have to clean the slate and you have to go in with new expectations of what both of you can bring to the relationship for the betterment of both parties.
You know, this is very important as you prepare to weigh in on it, Cato. And this speaks to where premarital counseling must not leave any stone unturned. You know, like you said, Natalie, you just can't walk away from history as if history never exists, because the memory follows you.
Yes.
But I
Good
believe,
and bad. Good and bad, yes.
but I believe that one can train him herself so that you do not allow history to impact on the present.
Yes.
Because the truth to be told is that, as a general principle, if you have not released history, you are really not ready for the present.
That is
let alone you can't be,
point.
let alone you can't be in a part of the future.
Exactly.
And it is unfair, because I like principles, but since we are focusing on marital relationship, it is unfair for anybody in a relationship to be judged by anybody else of the past.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. So, can I be real? So I was sharing on a series at church preaching on a point of Lot who went into Sodom. Well, not Sodom at the time, into Egypt with Abraham. And he was exposed to a good life because Abraham was treated well by, And point that I was making from that, when he came back, well, as scripture would have it, he lived towards Sodom, the kind of city life. It seemed that he had not flushed out of his system the kind of what I call the grandeur of the past.
Yeah.
The kind of satisfaction and feeling. And I was making an emphatic point that if you have not closed a chapter on the past, the residual impact is going to be colossal.
Yes, yes.
You're not ready for now because you're living, and people need to have a fair space to start.
Yes.
So premarital counseling then cater weighing on that, because this need to bring corrective measures, because there are too many marriages that are struggling and failing because of some of these things.
Yes, that is true.
You see, we have to, when people talk about in Jamaica, old fire stick easy for catch. It's true. Because remember that sex is one of those things that releases bonding hormones and that kind of, it is a bonding experience.
Yes.
And therefore, if you have had that experience before and it was good, then you are going to want to replicate that. And chances are you already know that the person who you did that with already knows you very well and what you need and what you require. Hence the resort back to the old fire stick.
But the contrary to that, if it's bad, then that's also detrimental to your present
It could affect.
relationship.
Oh
Yes.
Lord. Oh
Because
Lord.
then you have the issues now to deal with. So I think
Yes.
that premarital counseling can even help
Yes.
can be very good with that. Because this is where now, I'm not going to say that you're going to talk about necessarily, it was so, but whatever those experiences are that is preventing you to feel free and comfortable with this person, those have to come to the fore.
Yes. So with all of that said, coming back to the main point, you seem to give enough reason to say, as I heard, one very eminent pastor who shall remain nameless, that it's not quite natural for a man to be monogamous.
Yes.
Yeah?
I thought you were going to say for a man to be alone.
I finished it like that in my mind,
But truth to be told is that in his own experience, at the time, he would have gone about 4 wives already.
Wow.
So...
So is that?
Yeah.
That's monogamy.
So
Maybe
serial monogamy.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's different.
yeah,
That's
you know.
different.
So, but whereas you are saying there's an understanding why it's more inclined on the part of men because of socialization,
Yes.
because of mild addiction,
Yes.
because of history,
Biological factors.
and biology. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on this set. Natalie, you'll take
Yes,
us
I want
out.
to thank you again for joining us too, Kato. Really happy to have you. I want to thank our sponsor, Mattox Health and Fitness, our resident producer, George Malcolm Walker, our program development director, Damian De Aguilar. Thank you for our viewers for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Like us on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries. And follow us on Instagram at B1 Marriage Ministry. Thanks too for my glam.
See ya.
Thank you so much.